All right. My today's guest connects candidates, managers, executive leadership with life-changing employment opportunities. And he's made it his mission to do it differently. He's a talent acquisition and sourcing expert based in Detroit metro area. Currently with Inomatics. Did I pronounce that name right?
You dare. You can say Talent Solutions now as well. So
Talent Solutions as well. Okay. So with deep roots in high volume skilled trades and industrial manufacturing hiring. Beyond recruiting, he's a DEI champion, a professional speaker, and the curator of TEDxPontiac, meaning he does not just find talent. He helps amplify ideas. Please welcome Dre Thompson. Welcome, Thompson, for getting you.
So thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here, and I'm excited to get into today's discussion and learn more about you. Shout out to your viewers, and I'm just very excited to be here.
Thank you so much. So let's dive in. So who was Dre? Who was Dre before any of the work that you're doing today? What was the moment that made you realize people were your purpose?
Oh, this is a very deep question that I've had to reflect on. I would say before the titles, Dre was a follower. And I say that because every good leader has to be a follower at some point. So
Right.
I was a follower. I was a student. I've had many mentors. And I could say from my youth, my first entrepreneurial venture was buying and selling electronics off of Craigslist. And so doing that as well as eBay, but, buying and selling cell phones, iPods, novelty like video games, novelty electronics allowed me to connect with a lot of people and just like foster those relationships.
Yeah.
And so in my youth, I realized that I was a people person and I loved business. I'd been surrounded by entrepreneurs and those in the corporate space, but I always knew that I wanted to do business, or I won't say that I wanted to be influential, but I always felt that I had some sort of purpose to fulfill dealing with people.
Oh, that's beautiful. That's really beautiful. So in talent acquisition, you are going to be helping tons of people. So you deliver sometimes no for a living. But have you ever been told no in a way that changed your trajectory, changed your life?
I would say yes. I would even go back to in the beginning of my speaking career, there was actually an event that a lot of my friends wanted to speak at, that they had to pay to speak at, by the way. And I thought it was a really good opportunity. There were going to be a lot of decision makers and influencers in the room. And I submitted a video that was reviewed by some intermediary parties to remove bias. And so the feedback that I got at the time was not the best. And so that made me reflect on my craft, the path that I was taking. And ultimately, I decided to double down and exceed expectations. And so for me, that no was, I even talked about it with my AI, and the AI had told me like, hey, it's not even no, it's just not right now. And so sometimes no is just not right now. Like it's not personal. Don't take it personal. It is what it is. And so I'd say that moment, sparked something in me I think at that point I had done an improv class. I had signed up for an improv class, and I just read more books and got a mentor and just like really pushed myself to better my craft. And so I'd say that was a no that transformed my life. I think another point in my undergraduate career at college, there was a professor. This was like a 2-credit class. It was like an intro to accounting class. And ultimately, I was not attending the class as I should.
Yeah.
And I wanted the teacher to give me an incomplete because I had a personal life circumstance. I was expecting my first child. And the teacher opted not to give me the incomplete. And I ultimately ended up getting an F. And so that was the only F I ever received in
Yeah.
life.
Yeah.
And so I signed up for the class again with the same teacher, and took an accelerated 6-week course in the summer, and I got an A. So
There you go. What I like about that is you did not give up. There are many people out there who just once the minute the F is given, either they'll associate, internalize it too much and just let it sit like that forever. Don't don't really pursue, or even if they pursue, don't choose the same teacher. But you chose the same teacher and you got an A. Proud of you. Proud of you on that. I really love the way you did that, though. So, what's the brutal truth about the hiring process that candidates deserve to hear, but companies don't want you to say out loud at all?
the honest truth about the hiring process, sometimes it's not the candidate, it's the company. Sometimes you could potentially really truthfully be overqualified for the position or bring more to the table than the company is actually able to handle at that time. And I'll say from a hiring perspective, there is a lot of time that goes into posting and resources and job descriptions to make sure that the company knows what they want. But if we even, to give a great example or comparison, look at the world we live in right now. Like tariffs, not to get political or anything, but like uprooted the life that we know between gas and,
Yeah.
just daily living.
Horrible.
Yeah. So when you compare that to like employment, a business has to adjust and adapt as well. So that job
Right.
description that you applied for 30 days ago, the trajectory of the business could have changed. And so now your skill set either may exceed what they need or be obsolete based on them having to change the trajectory of their business. And so
In 30 days?
let's say 60 days.
Wow.
I'm in the oil and gas industry. I mean, like what's going on with the gas and renewable energy definitely uprooted opportunities, and especially, I guess I'm speaking more so from a global perspective versus
Right.
like, let's say, a local, smaller, let's say if you're like a 200, less than 1,000 employee type company, right? Those changes are going to affect you. But
Yeah.
I my background, like I've worked for General Motors, I've worked for Siemens, and I've
Mm,
worked for tier one automotive suppliers. So I've been in industrial manufacturing sometimes. So I've worked with people in different countries and have hired people in different countries. So I have like a more global view on this particular topic, I would say.
that makes total sense. That makes total sense. Oh my God. I never thought about that angle about it. It's not about the candidate. It's about, I never realized that from the posting date to your decision date within 30, 60, things change around you and you're no longer fit into that role.
Budgets
Not because
get
of you.
canceled. Sometimes you're competing against internal. Sometimes it's an
Right.
internal that's been sitting in a role for a year, 2, 3 years, patiently waiting because they're stuck at that 3 to 5%, 2 to 5% annual
Yeah.
salary increase. Maybe they didn't even get the increase. And so you externally don't know any of this. And that's why I say sometimes it's the company, it's not you. So
Got it. Yeah. That makes so much sense. So let's go to your DEI. That has become a political lightning rod. What do you say to someone who's lost faith that it actually changes anything on the ground?
I would say for me, DEI, I've gotten flack for saying this, but I wear it with the badge of honor. So when I worked at General Motors, I was actually a DEI sourcer. So my job was to work those
Yeah.
hard to fill roles with talent acquisition professionals and recruiters to find talent. And so I'm
Yeah.
very passionate about hiring veterans, minorities,
Yeah.
and just stay at home moms,
Right.
nonviolent offenders, whether it be prison or jail. And so just thinking out the box and targeting those subgroups, because I do believe that when you have a diverse workforce, and the research shows this, that businesses can be more profitable. As you said, right now, DEI is being politicized in a negative light, and I,
Yeah.
and this ties into TED a little bit as well, because I feel like if we all work together as people and put the
Yeah.
labels aside, we can accomplish anything. So for me, I proudly say that I am a DEI hire, and I truthfully feel, as I don't want to say that I don't think this is controversial, but being a person that, just being a minority in general, I've always
Yeah.
felt that I've had to exceed expectations, or
Oh, tell me about
come
it.
oh yeah, come across, a certain way that I'm more than capable, and just show that above and beyond that I can accomplish any task at hand, that my non-minority counterparts may have not had to, I won't say jump through those hoops, but experience those similar situations and be cognizant of that. And I can,
Yeah.
even going through the DEI piece, I can tell you, I've told in the past, I haven't worked at General Motors for some years, but I can remember telling my, just people within my acquaintances or friend groups that I worked at General Motors, and immediately they'd
Hmm.
say, "Okay, well, what plant do you work at?" So
Yeah.
not even fathoming that I could be, white collar employee at a Fortune 100, Fortune 500 company.
So I so like the way you said it. And I tell you, minority, as I am part of that minority group, but and a woman of color. I have to be presenting more than, gotta work 10x more, gotta present my skill set 10x more, gotta prove myself each time, and yet I'm not gonna be the one who's gonna be on the top of the line. Because why? There's another factors that come into play, and I have to accept that, knowing that I can do a better job, knowing that we get things done. I have to accept that. Okay, that's fine. Next time, Shruti, there's always a next time, and convince myself and keep moving. And again, the other thing too, I didn't plan to have this discussion, but like, just when woman talks confidently and show those assertive skill set, which is absolutely needed for a leader role, we are being taken as an aggressive woman. Why? And I don't understand. That doesn't sit well with me. Repeatedly again happens, but we have to just maneuver through those. But what do you say about that?
I think sometimes people can feel intimidated, and I think
Yeah.
that's what it comes down to, is that wow, this person is more capable than what I thought, or what I even expected, and that makes me uneasy, because it all comes down to lack of self-confidence and self, right? When people aren't feeling good about themselves, it could be jealousy as well. I think it's both at times, and I think when you're educated
Yeah.
and you're a woman, and I think to people that haven't experienced a lot of adversity, that can make them uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it shouldn't be like that. We want to live in a world or a society where we all get along and
Right.
kumbaya. But the reality of it is that we're not, with, again, just with the status or the state of the world that it is now, we're more divided than united, if anything. And so,
I agree.
and when you
That,
don't, because I want to answer your question clearly, when
yeah.
you don't diversify your circle, and they say you are the sum of like the five people that you hang with. So if you're
Right.
consistently associating with people, whether it be the same race or the same gender, and that's all
Mhm.
you're gonna have that unconscious bias. And I think that's what it is too. It's the
Yeah.
unconscious bias, and we have to continue to educate in a,
Yeah.
nice, kind, professional way. It's like, no, don't think this, and eradicate that behavior and redirect it in a positive way.
Right. I wish that's the coaching for many of the corporate world right now. So going back to Pontiac. Pontiac isn't the city people typically associate with big ideas, right? So why Pontiac? And what does curating a TEDx event teach you about human potential?
So to answer the first part of your question, with TEDx Pontiac, I'd say selecting the city of Pontiac was very intentional for several reasons. One of my early mentors in life, I actually met via Craigslist, and he happened to be from Pontiac. And so a lot of my business acumen, personal savviness and business, I
Yeah.
learned from this individual. And so Pontiac has always had a special place in my heart. My grandfather worked for General Motors for almost 30 years, retired from there, and drove
Wow.
from the east side of Detroit to Pontiac to provide for his 6 children. So Pontiac has
Mm,
always played a part in my life
yeah.
and very intentional. So when I think of Pontiac in my youth, I think about the Pontiac Silverdome. I think about, the Pistons, even
Mm,
though they played in the Auburn Hills. Pontiac has been known notoriously for having, these big events, and it's considered the heart of Oakland County in Michigan. So I
right.
thought outside of, and I love Farmington Hills. I love Oakland County. I'm a lifelong Michigander. I haven't lived anywhere else, and I've lived. I grew up my childhood. I grew up in Detroit, and then I moved to Oakland County. So I've lived all over
Mm,
Oakland County. But I think Pontiac made the most sense. And I've always been one to bet on the underdog. I did not like to compare it to, let's say, like a Rochester Hills.
yeah.
I didn't think Rochester Hills needed a TEDx event. I think it really, in all honesty, was just happenstance that
Yeah.
the revitalization and the resurgence that's going on in that area kind of coincided with
Hmm.
it to bring more
Yeah.
awareness to the area. So
Right.
that was not even intentional at all. But as far as what Ted taught me about human potential, I
Right.
had an idea that based off the relationships and connections, if I brought in the right individuals, that this could execute very well and
Yeah.
that a lot of people would benefit from it. And I kept that as the single focal point, or the mission was like, we're doing this to better humanity, we're to better society. And to me, it didn't matter what your gender or nationality was. It's more so, did you have the skill set? Did you believe in the mission? And did you have the time to allocate to seeing this vision come into fruition?
Oh, that's awesome. Dre, that's so beautiful. I wish I can be part of it one day. So, what was the season where you genuinely questioned whether this work mattered and what pulled you back?
several Several things pulled me, I guess, back into corporate. I would say when COVID happened, I was actually in a live event space,
Mm,
esports, doing live events. But when COVID happened, it shut live events down.
right.
And so, due to COVID, right, like the rest of the world was, stuck at home. I didn't have like one of those first responder or first in person type roles
Mm-hmm.
because my work had been shut down. So that led me to pivot back into like traditional corporate, and that's how I ended up at General Motors. I
Mm,
started as a contractor and then went full time, but I would say that is what pulled me back. And then just being involved with people. And I'll even be very honest with you, coming out of college, Chrysler, because I had relatives and grandparents that worked at Chrysler as well. I really wanted to work at Ford. I'm sorry, not Ford, Chrysler, or GM, because of just
right.
being in the Midwest, being at Michigan,
Mhm.
its economy was primarily driven by the auto industry, still is, being in the Rust Belt.
Right.
And then just having that legacy, one to continue that legacy and seeing the benefits of working for a big employer. So
Yeah.
connecting with and then doing the events as well, still being connected by people, being like a lead organizer, traveling
Right.
around the country in Canada. Like, but I would say COVID really amplified the work that I was doing, and then even missing events because I had not hosted like a large scale event whether in a few years. And so I'm like, okay, I still want to utilize this skill set, but how can I
Yeah.
take a skill set that I've cultivated over years and
Yeah.
apply it in a different avenue? So I'm like, okay, I've already hosted 200, 2,000, 10,000 person events or been on those teams. Let me take a stab at TED and see if I can do something of this caliber. And so ultimately it worked. It was a crazy idea. I thought I could do this by myself. I told one of my friends, a former GMer, and she's like, "You're crazy." And everybody started bringing people within their network and it worked.
And it's real today, right?
The
So
real
that's the
something that
magic.
was something that was in my head, like
Yeah.
it exists, and it's crazy to think about.
I know. Idea to fruition. Beautiful, right? I mean, it's not easy. I'm sure, like, ton of work went into it, ton of supporting system around you. So kudos to you.
Thank
So
you.
what's this one piece of career advice you give repeatedly that people nod at and then completely ignore?
That's hard because I have two. Um, a
You
closed
can give
mouth
two.
does not. I'd say a closed mouth does not get fed is one that I consistently give, and that you always follow up. And I think the two go hand in
Mm,
hand. So a closed mouth doesn't get fed. To me, is you can't give someone something if you haven't made clear what the ask is, right? So if I'm
you're
a
so right.
yeah, and I think what happens is when we're looking for an opportunity, or I'll say employment, we're in a feast or famine mind state to where there's this, I won't say period of desperation. You're like thinking of all the life variables, right? So, like, let's say people have been laid off or have been
Yeah.
severance. And so you're thinking about your bills, your kids, your livelihood, etc. And so now you're trying to pivot, and then you're just applying to opportunities, praying and praying without being strategic because you have the pressure
Mhm.
of real life. And so you may go to a networking event, you may have acquaintances, and then there's that comfortability factor in expressing what the need is. And that's why I say
Right.
a closed mouth doesn't get fed, because if you're uncomfortable with being vulnerable about the severity of your situation, then people
Mm,
won't have the same urgency to assist you. And then the always following up is, if you have a conversation with someone and you're telling them what your interest is or what you like to do, and they give you a small lead, even if it's a small lead, it's still up to you to do the due diligence and follow up with that person if you're that serious about it. So no matter what, if someone says, call me on Monday, and you don't call them on Monday, and then Tuesday goes and you don't call them, you still have to follow up. So it's
yeah.
on you. The onus is always on you. So
Right.
for me, it's never leave the ball in someone else's court to where you didn't follow up and get clarity in the, whether it's the action or advice that you're seeking.
That is a very profound and very, very critical. Doesn't matter what it is. Doesn't matter whether it is you're looking for a career or looking for a client or looking for whatever the opportunity. You be, it's onus on us because this is something that you want. So you have to follow up. And Dre, that is such a critical point for everybody to be remembering. So thank you for bringing that up
So
because it's
so take this. The AFU is the key to you, if you think about it.
there you go. Yes, I love that. So tell me about someone you believed in that the system had written off, and what happened when someone finally gave them a chance.
You know, I actually ran into a situation yesterday where I had a potential candidate that lived an hour away from a job site, and she had some gaps in her resume. And this is my take on gaps. And I think this will be a hot take, or I'll play contrarian to this. I think we're moving more and more into a society where gaps on resumes should be accepted and expected. This particular lady had, 3, 6, 7 month stints,
Mm,
and the hiring manager failed to acknowledge her cover letter. And when I spoke to her, I did my due diligence and
yeah,
not place any blame, but like the cover letter was missed on both parts, right? Because I didn't see
yeah,
the cover letter either. But in the cover letter, she explained, hey, my short tenure was because I had 3 kids and I prioritized them throughout my career. Now my children are grown. I'm in school now, and I want some consistency in employment based upon the degree program that I'm finishing. And so, just again, going back to what I said earlier about transparency and giving
yeah.
people a chance. You got to give people a chance to change and change and grow. And I don't think I lost sight of your question, but I think this is relevant because, again, with gaps now, especially with COVID, there were a lot of contract gigs that was 3 months, 6 months, and
Oh,
gaps are
yeah.
often looked at as, what's something wrong there? This person's not stable. When in all
Mm,
actuality, again, I have to play devil's advocate and say the company didn't always know what they want or need, and sometimes
yeah.
companies aren't as loyal as they should be. And I've
Right.
seen Fortune 100 companies lay off people that have been there 6, 7, 8, 10 years, loyal via email without even a phone call. So you're
Right.
asking for the loyalty, but you're not holding up your end of the deal, because at the end of the day, you're looking at benefits and your return on your ROI to the shareholders and the stock
Right.
price. And so it's very nuanced. And so I say all that to say that I think, again, job hopping in the future, because before it was paid transparency a little bit played into that, and then job hoppers, trying to get a higher salary. That
Mm,
was a thing. I
yeah.
think with AI continuing to evolve, I had a conversation today with somebody at the gym about this, that they felt like AI is going to lessen the workload for us as a society. And I can see that as well, right? So,
Hmm. Makes sense.
depending on how this shifts, I can see
Yeah.
more people having stints on their resume as technology develops.
I I totally I totally agree. And your lens around there's going to be a gaps in the resume is going to become more and more, to your point, more of that is going to be seen, especially with so many layoffs happening since a couple to 3 years now. There are many people out there. I don't know if they've gotten a job in a month time frame, 3 months, 6 months, never know. So that is the real scenario in our space today. So I am so glad you are already thinking about it, already considering and having those discussions with the hiring managers. That's awesome.
And it's competitive. If
Yeah.
someone has to compete with you fresh out of college, degree or no degree, the
Yeah.
hiring manager is looking at that experience. And the reality of it is, it's like, when you've got the experience as a business owner, do I want, I'll use a graphic designer. Do I want someone that just learned how to do graphics out of school, or do I want the professional that's been doing graphics 3 to 5, 10, 20 years, whatever, that knows what I need and can just go to work immediately and I don't have to invest that much time into?
Hmm. That that makes so much sense. Thank you for saying that. So instead of one conversation, one human being who's shifted the way you see your mission entirely.
Okay, yes, yep, that's what it was. One person that shifted. Uh,
It's
there-
it's like the way you see your mission, because I think you have impacted. Let me rephrase this. Is there one person who has profoundly impacted with your mission and now with seeing your mission completely differently? Positively impacted.
Yes, I'd say it'll be an author. It would be James Clear, the author of Atomic Habits. I think it was a
Yes.
great,
Yes.
great book.
Yes.
I was actually recommended the book 4 years ago from a friend, again, kind of coming out of COVID. And
Yeah.
I would say it definitely changed the trajectory of my life. And I keep coming back to that book because just so many great nuggets.
Yeah.
Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich, another great book that definitely impacted me. And Bob Proctor as well. I'd say he had a book,
I
Change Your
didn't.
Paradigm Shift. It's Shift Your Thinking. It's a really, really, really good book. Bob Proctor.
Okay.
Oh, Earl
Okay. I'm gonna make
Nightingale.
a note of that.
Yes, yeah. Change Your Paradigm Shift. It's very good. Earl Nightingale. I watch a lot of. There's a YouTube video I watched that I keep coming back to. It's on he says the magic word is attitude. It's like a 14-minute
So,
video, and it's so good. He's like, if you think he's the one line in the video he consistent that stays with me is every person in the world essentially thinks that they are the most important person in the world, and if you treat them that way, you'll get the respect and appreciation that you desire.
this is the one. Bob Proctor.
Yes, change
Change
your
your
paradigm.
paradigm, change your life. Okay, I saved
Yes,
it. I just wanted to show you that.
amazing book. Yes,
How
very,
amazing.
very,
Okay,
very good.
I'll take a look at that. You and I share a so good or similar things because Atomic Habits came into my life in 2019, just before COVID. I was having such tough and difficulty around managing kids and managing work and always hustle and calming down and getting I am a deeply spiritual person. Getting that time for myself was missing out. One day I get in, I do my prayers. Second day I miss it. I'm like, no, that's not going to happen in my life anymore. So after I read the Atomic Habits, no matter what, that time is mine. I'm going to do that because that changed my whole life of rearranging what's important to me, how to prioritize, and your habits is who you are. You and I share that so much. And Napoleon Hill, I love that positivity of Napoleon Hill's. I listen to even today, every single day before I sleep in or get up in the morning, the affirmations.
The
How to
affirmation.
get your mind prepared for the day, right? And get your mind released with all the unnecessary thoughts before you go to bed. So it sits with me. So I connected that piece with you very closely. So I'm glad.
Yes, and I'll tell you, even on a personal level, I had introduced affirmations to my kids a few years ago, and I had got some pushback. And then once they started doing it, they're like, "Oh my gosh, this is." You even on the day, it's like working out. There are going to be days where you don't want to work out, but then you do the workout anyway, and your body
Yeah.
loves you
Yeah.
for it.
Exactly. Do it anyway. You
Do
don't
it
need to,
anyway.
right? So so this is going to be my last but one. When the last connection is made and the last stage is walked, what do you want people to say Dre actually did for them as your legacy? I'm talking about your legacy.
This is something that I have thought deeply about for years, and I would say this more so drives a lot of the work and actions that I do because
Yeah.
when I leave the planet, I envision my funeral or my viewing where it's like hundreds and, just thousands of people that can say that, Dre affected my life in a positive way by doing this. And then the people that know me personally can, talk about their stories or the conversations that they've had with me. And so one of my goals before I perish is to impact as many people in a positive way as I, can. So, with TED, we had close to, I think, a little over about, let's say about 500 people. And I want to affect I want to affect thousands of people. I want to get to the point where I can influence
Yeah,
millions of people to think differently in a positive way. So
that's
that's what I want.
beautiful.
That's what I want people to say, that, I listened to Dre, whether it was a book, I haven't released a book yet, or, I heard one of his, I heard a keynote from him, or I heard him on a podcast, or, I saw him live, or he said this to me that, changed the trajectory of my life and made, or by attending his event, it made me want to, change my career, or, serve other people in a positive way, because I consider myself a servant leader. I've practiced servant
Yeah,
leadership for 10 years. So,
yeah.
his actions inspired me to want to do something positive for somebody else.
Beautiful, Dre. You touched my heart. So what is the three things that you want the listeners to take away from our conversation today that they can start doing starting today and understanding how to view their life?
The key to you is to be positive, be intentional with the actions that you want to take to get to where you need to go, be vulnerable in regards to, I'd say, be vulnerable and transparent. Be vulnerable with yourself, whether it's positive or negative, but don't dwell too much into the negative, because who you are, and I'd say the biggest thing is, who you are yesterday isn't who you'll be tomorrow. And some advice that my dad has given me in my life that I've taken with me to this day is, if you think small, you'll be small. So that's why I always try to think big. So think bigger than what you are, because if you think small, you'll be small. And you don't have to be small if you don't want to.
Yeah. Oh my God. I think this is going to be a profound thing that anybody would have heard about in the podcast. This is a power packed conversation. I'm sure all the audience who are listening to us, you have to take those three things very seriously. Positive. Don't play small. Don't think yourself as a small. That is something that I'll start remembering for myself. Think big. Don't have to play small. So, and be vulnerable. So, thank you. Thank you so much for being on Key to You. Really enjoyed this conversation with you, Dre.
I did as well, and shout out to your listeners. I'm excited for the recording. I'm just very humbled at the opportunity that you saw something in me to even have me on your podcast, and I'm just forever grateful, and I'm excited for what the future has in store.
Thank you. I'm grateful.